What are you hoping to accomplish? Without me, you're just hollow. You're pathetic. You need fear to motivate you.
Lost in Vivo is a psychological first-person indie horror game about claustrophobia and saving your service dog from a sewer. It's from the makers of Spooky's House of Jump Scares. Atmosphere. It takes heavy inspiration from Silent Hill, but it's incredible. It's so thick that it fills you with dread immediately. The combination of music, lighting, and the theme of the game, claustrophobia, wear away at you as the nightmarish visuals and long winding paths start to replace any terrestrial location and lead you into some kind of incomprehensible bad dream. The atmosphere only gets more dense and unbearable as you descend deeper into its low-res, nasty PlayStation 1 style environments. There are moments of levity where the atmosphere dips down from its oppressive tone, but leaves this eerie feeling of apprehension instead, since it's so out of place. The game turns itself on its head so many times that the lack of consistency is something the player simply can't get desensitized by, changing things up to always keep you on edge and waiting for the next bewildering thing to happen. Smashing video game tropes so that save rooms and ladders are no longer safe havens from the horrors of the game. One of my favourite things this game does well is the creepy diary entries that often hint at something bad is going to happen, or some form of monster is in the area with you that you haven't seen yet. It only heightens your paranoia. The 3D audio they implemented makes the game incredibly immersive with headphones, which amplifies its atmosphere. The atmosphere in Lost in Vivo is one of the best in any game I've ever played. It was so effective that I was frightened when nothing was happening. That's one Harry Mason. Scares. Confusing, disturbing enemies seem to giggle at you as you shoot them dead and their body just glides away. Others turn into body bags and you're left with the moral dilemma of what you may have just done. Dogs bark at you from the darkness and strange and terrifying events unfold with little to no explanation. You're trapped in a room with an enemy that only moves when you look away from it, and the weapons you have may defeat some of the enemies in the game but still feel useless in this grander feeling of cosmic fear that resonates throughout the game. You can defend yourself but you're still helpless. The game also forces you into positions of vulnerability and then it strikes, making you pick the lock on a door or climb a ladder and then it attacks you. You never know what's going to happen next, and it's the fear of the unknown that makes the game so scary. That's two Harry Masons. Sound design. Like Silent Hill, Lost in Vivo uses dark, disturbing tones and haunting, melancholy melodies, and then things clatter together like hammers smashing against the side of a submarine. Its grinding, glitchy, static and distorted moaning is a throwback to Silent Hill's radio warnings when the enemies are approaching. The 3D audio sound space makes wearing headphones an unreal experience. First it gets you used to trying to find the dog in the sewer by listening to where the dog barks are coming from, but soon you're using it to identify where the enemies are attacking you from. The sound effects and gurgles of the monsters are something else, like animals screaming and pitch-shifted, manipulated audio mess that's just extremely haunting. That's three Harry Masons. Gore. It's a surreal gore. Enemies are like Zdzislaw Brzezinski paintings come alive. Blood spurts from the mouths of enemies with massive holes in their chests, and piles of pixelated organic goop swarm with flies in the corners. When you die, you're disintegrated into a puddle on the floor or have your eyes torn out by rats. The gore isn't overwhelming, but it's there when it needs to be. That's four Harry Masons. Story. This is where I feel the game is lacking. Besides finding your dog, there's no running story that aligns the madness that takes place. Each area has no relevance to the area before it or after it, and it feels just like an anthology of scary things. There's flashbacks to areas that don't make sense via the lost tapes, and whilst there are diary entries, they only have relevance to the area you're in, and arguably you can ignore them and the game will still make the same level of sense. There's possible hints at more serious themes that are just sort of ignored once you move through the next door to the next area. If this game had a continuous gripping story, it could have been one of the best horror games I've ever played. Making the final score 4 out of 5 Harry Masons. As an experience, this is really about as good as it gets. It may borrow heavily from games like Amnesia and obviously Silent Hill, but the product it's made is so unique. I'm just sad about its wasted potential. Again, I'd like to remind you this whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool. I get it. I'd like to point out whilst I was scared for my life within an embarrassing amount of time, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There will be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. And always go check out Bumps in the middle of the night. Peace.